Today's an exciting day. The mast is going back up. She's gonna look a little more like she's supposed to now. The first step was to get the mast out of the building where we'd been working on it and back to where Starry Horizons was waiting with the crane. After a summer of lovely weather, we couldn't have chosen a nicer day to do this. And just like that, mast is back down. Now just gotta hook everything back up. The crew got started with the cap shrouds. Once the pins got put in, it was a relatively simple matter to put a few turns on the turnbuckles. That supported the rig enough that we could begin getting everything else set up.
You need some big wrenches or what?
Oh, I'm good. I got big
I know
wrench.
you're good, but you need some big wrenches?
My middle name is Big Wrench.
Oh,
No, we're good. We got
I feel like that's a bit of an unfortunate choice from your parents.
some. Jacob,
Big wrench.
At least-
Didn't want to get the head stay and the extrusions all up, kind of bent as we were raising the mast. So Tim's got a temporary head stay that we're rigging up so we can then get the actual head stay up on the boat nice and straight. Next step is get the head stay up, and a little bit of teamwork required. Since the mast was completely supported by the cap shrouds and Tim's temporary head stay, we could use the genoa halyard to help raise the new head stay and extrusions. Jay hitched another ride on the crane to put the pin in at the mast. Once that was secured, the guys put the pin in at the crossbeam, and the new head stay was good to go.
That's all Jake needed. That's all I needed to know, Tim. Thank you.
All right, we're pinned down here.
Of course, it's raining today, which makes this a little bit difficult. We've got the head stays all pinned in, so now it's time to kind of tension the rig up, make sure everything fits as it's supposed to. But I think Tim's breathing a sigh of relief getting a new head stay up there, and it looks like everything's fitting, which is a good sign. One of the things we did before we removed the rig was get a bunch of measurements. So it's 565 mil pin to pin on each cap shroud. So that's where we're getting to now to make sure everything's nice and tensioned. Being a sailboat, having wind information is pretty important. So for the last step, Jay once again went up to the top of the mast to reinstall our wind vane. We've got the rig is up. Feels so much better. Starry Horizons is close to a sailboat again. We're still doing a little bit of work on the boom, so that's still to come, but the mast is there. With the rig up, it's time to actually reconnect everything. Now I have started pulling the wires back through as they come down into the anchor locker. Getting them in is a bit harder than getting them out, so I've been having to kind of like pull a little bit here, jump over into the anchor locker, push a little bit up into the conduit, jump back over here, pull a little bit more out, and yeah, you get the picture. So this is taking a little while, but I'll eventually get to the point where I can reconnect all the wires. I know it looks like barely controlled chaos in here, but I do actually have some organization going on and some sorting done. So I've run the new wires that we'll need for the new tricolor and the PA and foghorn. I have also kind of grouped all the rest of the wires need to be reconnected. I have identified which are the wires for the steaming light and the deck light. The old tricolor light wires have identified and moved apart because I'm gonna clip those, label them, and because they're part of a big group of wires, I can't get them out individually, but I don't want to forget what they are if I ever have to come in here again. What else? So because we ran a new VHF coax cable, I'm gonna have to reconnect those, but pretty easy to tell which one that is. Our Iridium Go has a connection that needs to be done. The radar, I've got those wires all identified. What else? Yeah, I think that's just about everything. So at least I know where everything's supposed to go. Now we just gotta connect it all up. Our next big step was to start getting the sails on the boat. We'd been working on a lot of big projects during this refit, but getting brand new sails was among the biggest. Together with Jamie from SV Totem and Phil at Zoom Sails, we had designed a new tri-radial hydranet mainsail and genoa, as well as a new Code Zero. The yard wouldn't let us raise the head sails while we were on the hard, so we just got those up to store on the boat. We couldn't raise the main either, but we could stretch it out, rig up the new cars, and get it up on the boom. That looks like a nice big mainsail behind you.
It's a nice, somewhat fancy sail.
Yeah, somewhat fancy. It is fancy.
I mean, it's not 3DI, but...
Oh, yeah, okay, degrees of fancy maybe.
It's hydranet,
Yeah.
which is very exciting. This is a Zoom sail.
Yep.
So we worked with Jamie from Totem and got this sail ordered out of a loft in Sri Lanka, which was really cool.
Yeah, Phil, the designer's out in New Zealand, so
Yes.
apparently we actually shared an anchorage with him back in Malaysia and didn't know it.
Yes. So we've done a couple other things too, other than the upgrade to the hydranet. We have gotten rid of the square top and gone with a really high roach instead, and
Changed up the battens a little bit,
changed
so
up
we've
the
got
battens,
actually.
yes.
I'll do a little close up on those when we put them on, but kind of a unique, easier to store setup on a boat.
Yeah, so now we've got the sail stretched out, and we are going to put the hardware on so we can install it on the boat.
Yay! I'm working on getting all the cars onto the mainsail now, and I discovered a slight issue that's kind of resulting from us changing the batten hardware. So previously it was all Z-Spar equipment, Z-Spar cars, all that stuff. We wanted to keep the Z-Spar cars, which they match the track that we have on the mast, but we're changing to Rutgerson battens, and so the batten hardware for the Rutgerson is slightly different. Show you what I mean here. So this is the hardware for the batten. Previously, like this came all the way to the edge of the luff of the sail, which means this, in order to screw in the car far enough, again, get out of the way. So in order to get this screwed in far enough, the distance between the luff of the sail and the mast track is shorter than it was previously, which becomes an issue down here at their intermediate cars, because they were nice enough and sewed in some webbing straps for us, which matches the measurements we had before. Unfortunately, that means that the distance between the luff here and the mast track for the intermediate car is about 10 mil further than up there with the batten car. I don't like that. So I don't want significant differences between, could kind of cause some wrinkling in the sail. So I'm actually gonna probably just go ahead and take this webbing strap off. I've got some small denim line, and we'll just lash it between the grommet there and then here at the car itself. That way we can adjust the distance and get everything as close as possible. I'm pretty pleased with how this come together. All the batten cars and stuff are on. and intermediate cars as well, all lashed. Looks good, measurements within a mil, so feeling positive about that. Now, gotta fold this thing back up and get it up on the Starry Horizons. Together, we managed to get the main up on the boat and all the cars mounted on the track. But we had to exercise a bit of patience until Starry Horizons was launched and we were tied up to the dock before we could pull out the new Genoa and Code Zero to hoist them for the first time. Part of the recommissioning the boat, we gotta get all the sails back on, including, starting with, the new Genoa. So this is our new Zoom Sails Genoa. We've upgraded just a little bit. We've gone with a tri-radial hydranet. That's what we've gone with, as compared to our old dacron sail. So this should hopefully give us just a little bit more performance, a little bit better sail shape. We have gone with the same nice blue sunbrella UV cover. We've added a little bit of foam on the luff, which is designed to help keep its shape better when you reef the sail. So I'm very excited to get this up and see how it all looks. We've got the new Harken furler on the boat as well. Like, just a lot of new stuff up here. So let's get this thing up on the boat.
Let's enjoy this beautiful flaking with creases that will never, ever look like this again.
Hey, do the whole splayed out, because it's just gorgeous.
That is sexy flaking right there.
Once we got the sail up, did a quick lashing job. Nice uneven line. Make sure that anti-torsion rope nicely secured to that tack. A couple things I want to talk about on the main before we actually start doing this. We decided to get rid of the square top. Mostly just because that diagonal batten is a bit of a pain. Also, the whole having to pull the head of the sail up to the track is a little finicky. So going with just a really high roach, we're not losing a whole lot of sail area. We can put the block straight on the head car. Just makes life a little bit easier. And yeah, so we'll get that out, test it, and see how it actually works. But for actually getting the battens in, we're just gonna go little bit by little bit, raise the main up, and then put the battens in. So I want to talk real quick about the battens that we got. They're a bit unique and special, definitely different than the last kind of round fiberglass battens that we had. These are still fiberglass, but as you can see, there's actually two pieces. And that's because these are made by RBS, and they have a batten splice in them. So this is what I'm talking about. We can actually disassemble them, and it'll make it easier to store on the boat. They actually have a nice little pocket that the two things slide into each other, and they get a nice solid grip in there. It does not move, so it works out pretty darn well. One other thing I really like that we did with the main is we changed up kind of like the batten pocket sleeves. So we have Rutgerson hardware now, and they have this really cool system where this cover actually comes off, the batten just kind of fits into place, the cover slides back over, and there's a little adjuster so we can actually adjust the tension for the batten without having to remove the whole thing. It's pretty brilliant, honestly. So just got to get this one on and finish up the rest of them, and then raise the mainsail all the way, rig all those reef lines, get the outhaul on. A few other things to do, but we're making really good progress. There we go, that's locked into place. Batten can't come out. It's pretty cool. It was a slow, methodical process to get each batten installed, and we'd had to wait for a day with 0 wind. But eventually, all the battens were in, so I finished up the last of the running rigging, and we could stand back and admire. Everything is all up, all the battens are in, reef lines are on, outhaul is on, lazy jacks are properly tensioned. I think Starry Horizons is ready to go sailing an ocean. Whether the rest of the equipment on the boat is ready, that's a different story. But one step at a time. And that feels so damn good.